Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Lesson 31, the We Do portion of the video, where we're going to break down our goal of dividing decimal dividends by decimal dividers a little bit more. We'll focus on a model at first, and then we'll look at using our place value chart to help us. And just go a little bit slower and get that understanding. And even after this video, if you're still unsure, reach out to me and I'll gladly assist you. All right? So let's get started. In our first problem, I'm going to work on page 142, actually the left-hand side, that blank sheet. And we have 11 4/10 divided by 6/10. And what I did here is I made all our models ahead of time. Wondering why? Because it takes a long time to do 11 wholes and then an additional 4/10. And that's why in our teach video, you'll notice that we stayed away from the model aspect and used more of an algorithm, because when those numbers get into 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, it just doesn't seem reasonable to make a lot of models. It would take too long. But just to get an understanding of it, here I have my 11 holes. So I'm going to label at least one of these as my hole. And I'm also going to label each one of these. I broke them up into 10 parts, and I can double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then at the end, I need 4/10. So here I have 11 models, and here's the 12th. But I only need 4 of those. And I'll label that 4 out of the tenths, and end up really not needing these parts in this particular problem. And now I'm going to highlight or shade in groups of 6/10. So I would have 3, 4, 5, 6/10 here. Let's try that again. I have 6/10 right here. I'm going to grab another 6/10. And there's 6/10. Another 6/10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you'll notice that it's going to take me a little bit of time, but I can get my 6/10. You see all the different groups that I got going here. There's another 6. And ultimately, we're going to try to find out how many total groups that I have. And again, this takes a little bit of time to get all of those 6/10 going back and forth. Ooh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, 2, 4, 6. I got an extra one in there. Let's back that up. 2, 4, 6. And as I do that, you're going to start running into a lot of different groups or numbers of groups. I need 4 in this one to make 6. Another 6. There we go. And as it takes some time, yes, I understand, but you will certainly end up getting the correct answer in this. 4 in this one, 2 more. Now another 2, 4, 6. There's 2, 5, 6. And maybe I should have been proactive and get something a little bit smaller in size. But you notice how long this is taking me to get this many shaded in. I don't know what happened to those shaded purple pieces. Okay. There's a 4. And we'll come over here, 5, 6. Nope. What's going on? 6. Whoa, magic. 6. We have 2, 4, 6. Wow. And we have 2 here and another. There's 6. Wow. How many groups did we end up coming up with? Well, let's kind of label these here. We have 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is this yellow, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 moves all the way over here. Here's 18, and we have 19. These two together make 19 groups. We'd have 19 groups. Okay, so 11 and 4/10 divided by 6/10 is going to give us 19. Now notice that took me 5 minutes to do just this one problem. That's a long time. So mathematicians came up with an easier way to solve that. Okay, so let's look at that from our teach piece. So I'm going to use the exact same problem that I have here. And this time we're going to turn it into a fraction. We know that this is part of the fraction line in division. So we could rewrite it as 11 and 4/10 divided by 6/10. Now, as we mentioned since the beginning of the year, I would prefer to work with whole numbers and not decimals. So I want to get rid of that decimal. So if I really have 11 and 4/10 using this place value chart, I want to get rid of this decimal. I really want to make a whole number out of that. So I want to move it one place, one place, one place. So if I'm moving it to the left, I'm going to be multiplying. Right? And I'm moving it just one place value or 110. Right? So I'm going to multiply them by 10. I'm multiplying the numerator and the denominator both by 10 because I want to make an equivalent fraction. And as I showed over here, if I'm going to multiply it by 10, I now have, as my decimal lines up, 114. As a denominator, let's erase this here, I have 6/10. I'm going to multiply it by 10. The decimal doesn't move. We have 6 wholes. We have 114 divided by 6. And that's ultimately what we're going to do, 114 divided by 6. But as the numbers get larger, we really want to make sure that our answer is going to be reasonable and we don't have a mistake over on this side. So we'd like to estimate these here. Okay? And we want to do it as a basic fact. So what could we round these to get something that's really easy to work with? Okay? Since this 6 might round close to 10, if I can work with 10's, 10's my favorite math number to work with, okay, what is this going to be close to work with 10's? And now, if you are someone who struggles with this, you're unsure, you could come off to the side and skip count. 10, 20, 30, 40, and keep going until you get to something that's close to 114. Right? And it's okay if you take a little extra time to do this. Oh, I stop here at 110. How much is 110? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's going to be 11. But let's say I want to work with 10, and you could say, well, this is really close to 100. I know that one more as a basic fact. That's going to give me 10. That would be awesome to do. If you could do some basic facts, right, whether you don't have to do some of the skip counting, that would be more ideal. All right. So our answer should be around 10. Let's go ahead and solve it and figure out what this true answer is. Okay? And this going back to Module 2, this is going back to 4th grade division. How many 6's go into just 1? Well, we can't get any. 0 times 6 is going to give us 0. And we're going to find the difference is subtract. Bring down the 1. How many 6's go into 11? Well, if we needed to, we can go 6, 12, 18. I stopped. 2 is too much. I need just one of those. 1 times 6 is 6. I'm going to find the difference of those, knowing that I can't take 6 away from 1, so I have to unbundle these, bring over a group of 10. 10 plus the 1 that I have here is 11. Okay, so 11 minus 6 is going to give us 5. Let's get back to our purple here. We're going to bring down the 4. How many 6's go into 54? Okay, this is going to be more of those basic facts. If you're not sure of those, keep practicing those reflex. That reflex math is really awesome. Right? And if you needed to, you could skip count all the way down. But I know my basic fact is going to be 9. 9 times 6 is 54. And when I find the difference of those, I'm left with 0. My answer is 19. 19. And isn't that the same as what we had over here? 19. In our model form. Took us a while, but we got it. Same answer here. Right, a little bit more math involved in this one. And does this answer close to our two of our estimates? Yeah, they're pretty close. Right. If you had an answer that was 190, for example, no. If you had it as 1 9/10, no, not quite. Right. If you had some other number that might have been in the thousands or in the hundredths, right, we could say that our answer isn't reasonable. We have a mistake somewhere and we have to go back and check. Okay? So, that's a quick breakdown of this, why we tend to make equivalent fractions, make it a little easier for us. Why don't we do the models? Yeah, this tends to be a little bit quicker. Right? If you need to do a model, certainly use it. I'm okay with it. Right? You still have questions? Come see me about it. All right. Let's see if we can squeeze one more of these problems in before our 15 minutes, my goal of 15 minutes here. All right, so in our workbook, page 142, I'm going to scroll down. We did these A and B for our teach piece. And let's come down to 2A. And I really like this one here because they're in hundredths this time. So good thing we're checking this one. So I'm going to put 9 42 hundredths in the numerator. Here's my dividing sign. And I'm going to put 3 hundredths here. Now, 3 hundredths. I'm going to put this in my place value chart. I have 3 hundredths. I really want to get this into a whole number as a 3. So it's moving to the left. So I know I'm going to be multiplying. How many places is it moving? It's moving 1 place, 2 places. So 10 to the power of 2, which is another way of saying 10 times 10. And 10 times 10 gives us 100. So we need to multiply by 100. Back to our problem here. I'm going to multiply by 100. And that's going to give us 3 wholes. If I multiply this one by 100, I have to multiply up here by 100 as well to make equivalent fractions. That's going to move all these 2 places to the left as well. That's going to give us 942. If you're not sure, go put it on a place value chart. Draw your place value chart out if you need to. Right? Get 942. What is this going to round to? Well, you could take this to round to 1 if you want to, and 942. Right? You can, and give us 942. You could round this and say, well, it's close to 5. Well, I might like that one. And this number is really close to 1,000. And what's 1,000 divided by 5? Wow, they're going to give us something a little bit different. That's going to give us 200. Kind of like that. That's going to be a little bit closer, I believe. Right? You could even keep this as a 3. Maybe you want to divide it by 3. Right? And what works close? Maybe 900. 9 works well. I know 9 divided by 3 is 3, and it's really 100 times as big. I like those two. So our answer should be somewhere around 200 to 300. All you have to do now is divide it. Really quick over here, right, if we had 39 and 36 hundredths, divide by 96 hundredths, I need to get rid of the decimal, needs to move 2 places, multiply it by 100, multiply it by 100. That should give us 96, and if you put it on your place value chart, and 3,936. I might round this one to 100. What's this close to? About 4,000. And what is 40 divided by 1? Going to give us 40 with our 2 zeros there. And we can always check our work by multiplying. Our answer should be around 40 when you solve it. questions, please reach out to me.